I once thought that as a werewolf alpha, I had it all power, status, and even love. Chapter 76. To my agent extraordinaire, Mabel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Seeing Jerome, who was laying on the bed like a dead dog of wood, I felt my heart ache, and I couldn't help but feel pain that he would have to die. I knew that things might not move the way I want them to between the both of us, but there is no way I would be able to get things to go back to normal. Things had turned out this way because of his choices. He chose to be with Erica, and now he would pay for the consequences of that. The anger I was feeling earlier when I was talking to me in a commanding tone had vanished, and I was in a state of anger, not knowing what to do. It was like things weren't always as I wanted. I had promised myself to pretend to care for him, but that won't be the case anymore because I will care for him. I will care for him and make him feel what it is to be cared for by another person who isn't one's mate. I knew that the head of the Werewolf Council wouldn't have wanted to kill him if he hadn't wanted to be with Erica so badly, and I knew that Erica would be the death of him. I knew he didn't know about my agenda here, and I didn't want anyone to find out about it. It isn't as I want that thing we're working on, and that's all his fault. He had told me before that he would soon return home, but he didn't. He went ahead and fell for Erica, so he wouldn't have been wanted dead. It was like the head of the Werewolf Council was working for me. It was like he knew about what was going on with me. He seems to have understood my pain and wanted to act on it. But I have already forgiven him. He is paying for his sins, and that is what made him hurt like this. If he had agreed to come with me to the pack, then all this time wouldn't have happened. But he doesn't seem to follow my words. I hope you are getting better, I asked after a while, and he smiled sadly as he stared at me, and I knew that he wasn't happy with what he had done. Erica wasn't in the ward anymore. She had left a few minutes ago. I'm getting better. How are you doing? He asked with a sad look on his face. He seems to feel guilty for what he has done, but there is no way he would turn the hand of the clock backwards. I'm fine, I replied, knowing that the more I thought about it, the more I would feel hurt. I knew that there was no way I would not cry if he kept on talking about our breakup. I'm sorry I broke up with you that way. And I felt my heart stop beating instantly, knowing that he regretted all his actions. But what I didn't expect was that his next word would shatter my pride. I feel like he wanted us to get together, but I knew that wouldn't be possible since he's going to die soon and I would be the cause of his death, which you don't want. I know the way I broke off the engagement may be heartless, but I have to do that. That's the only idea I have at that time. I won't want us to be enemies because of what had happened, he concluded, and I felt my anger rise to its peak. All that was on my mind was to initiate the plan, but I knew that I needed to be calm in order to get things done. I will make sure that he pays for what he just said. I was shocked with what he said, and that was because I thought he would apologize to me for breaking up with me and say that he wants me to be his wife and mate. But that isn't what he said. I knew not to act like what was on my mind, and the only thing I should do is act along. I wasn't willing to do what I was told to do by the head of the Werewolf Council, but seeing the way he talked to me now made me want to get it done. His words are like a hot knife that was laced with wolfsbane and pierced my heart. My heart ached with pain as I stared at him while trying to conceal it. It's fine, I'm all right. You should focus on your partner, I said with a fake smile. Thanks for understanding, I really appreciate it. And I stared at him with hatred while trying to conceal it. The door soon opened, and Erica walked into the room with a smile on her face. I knew that she was up to something. You can bring your things into the room I provide for you, Erica said, and I stared at her with a smile on my face. How long will you be staying? Jerome asked weakly. 2 days. I will see you later. I need to go now. To my agent extraordinaire, Mabel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. And I walked out of the room with Erica, who was glaring daggers at me. This is your room, Erica said as soon as we got to a particular room. I walked inside the room without saying anything, and I plopped down on the bed with a deep sigh. I will send one of the pack members to you. You will be given a tour around the pack, Erica added, and turned to leave. Thank you. To my agent extraordinaire, Mabel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. And she turned to look at me. She looked away almost immediately. I sighed heavily looking around the room, and I stood up after a while with the intention of putting my things in place. I jumped on the bed, and I fell asleep. It has been a tiring and emotionally long day, and I need the sleep to cool things off. Chapter 77. Mabel. I woke up with a deep sigh, knowing that this would be my last day in this pack. I have been trying to bring myself to do what I planned on doing to Jerome, but I have been finding it hard to do that. It was hard for me, but I knew I had no other choice but to do that. I don't want to lose my life for an ungrateful jerk like him. I knew that even though I found ways to sort things out between the two, there was no way he would be spared by Alpha Otis, and that was because he had developed hatred for Jerome. I don't know what Jerome did to anger someone like Alpha Otis, but that isn't my concern. All I want is to get what I was sent done today, and I will make sure nothing stops me from getting it. I will make sure I get that done at all costs. I walked into the bathroom with a towel tied around my waist. I brushed my teeth and took a bath. I walked out of the bathroom with a towel tied around my waist. Water was dripping down my hair, and I dried my body with the towel. I applied lotion on my body, and shortly I wore my clothes. To my agent extraordinaire, Mabel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I walked out of my room toward the direction of the dining room. Jerome seems to have been recovering, but I knew that didn't mean anything since he would be dying soon. I knew that things wouldn't always go as I wanted them to, but I would do everything within my power to get done what I was sent to do. I have already mastered all the ways in the pack, and I was glad for that tour that I went on around the pack with a maid. The maid was very polite, and she found ways to answer all my questions without any complaint, and I'm glad for that. I made my way into the dining hall, and I sat at the back. I could feel all eyes on me, but I didn't care. I knew that all this wouldn't matter to me anymore since I would be leaving soon. Jerome's recovery was something I didn't want to happen, but I had no choice over that. The food was soon served, and I dug in. The atmosphere was once again lively after we started eating. I couldn't help but wonder what would happen if things were to change. I knew that this place would soon be in distress after all that I have in store. No one would be able to eat any food after tomorrow. The Alpha's mate would die, and I would be happy about that. I rushed my food with the intention of getting things done. I knew that I would have to feed Jerome a cup of tea before I put the drugs in him. I will make sure that no one suspects me after I'm done with him. I knew that I would be easily caught if things turned out to be drastic. I won't be able to escape alive. I walked out of the dining hall with a smile on my face. I knew that this will be the last time I set foot in the hall, and not only that this will be the last time I will be in this pack. I knew if it weren't for Jerome, I wouldn't have been allowed in this pack. I knew that there was nothing left for me here, and I might only come to his funeral if I was informed. I knocked on the door, and I pushed the door open after I was ushered into the room by Jerome. I made my way toward him with a smile on my face. Good morning, Jerome. To my agent extraordinaire, Mabel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. And he smiled at me. Good morning. How was your night? Staring at me, and I rolled my eyes. It was splendid, and yours? I asked with a raised eyebrow, and he chuckled before replying. He has been able to move his body parts and can now sit down on the bed himself. He seems to be recovering fast, and I couldn't help but wonder if it was because he was a highly ranked werewolf. Have you eaten? And he shook his head sideways. I was told by Erica that you would be bringing my food. And I smiled at him before replying. I will go get your food, but I have something to say to you, I said with a pause, and I stared at him, making sure that he was listening to me with rapt attention. I will be leaving soon, I said to him, and he stared at me with shock, not believing my words. What? He exclaimed, and I rolled my eyes. Wait, do you forget so soon? Staring at him with a smile on my face. No, I didn't. How can I forget about that? I thought you would be leaving in the evening. And I chuckled. I can't leave in the evening. I will have to do a lot of things at home. I was only given 2 days off, and I was expected to come back early this morning. I lied, and he nodded his head understandingly. You don't have to be sad. I will give you a gift, and I will bring it with your food. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. And his eyes lit up with joy. I knew he was happy that I would be giving him something before leaving. We have been close these days, and I can tell that he trusts me so much, unlike his mate, who seems to be jealous of us every second, and I was happy with the attention I was getting from his mate. I will be back soon. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. And I walked out of the room with a smirk on my face. My eyes glinted with mischief as I walked toward the direction of the kitchen. I knew the way to the Pack's kitchen, and it's all thanks to the maid who gave me a tour around the place. I have been the one who always takes his food to his room since I arrived, and I've been doing all jobs that have to do with Jerome. I would be the one to wash his clothes, and his mate would feed him. I'm not interested in feeding him, and any time he is hungry, I will tell his mate, and she will come to feed him. But it has been different now. He had been eating himself, and not only that, he had been the one taking care of himself. But I still insist on being the one who takes care of his food. I walked into the kitchen, and I put some water in the pot for heating. I prepared the ingredients for the coffee in a cup, and I added the remaining poison after looking left and right to make sure no one was around. I have been adding some to his food, and I made sure it was not noticeable, which is why I have Erica feed him, and she also eats from the food sometimes. I knew that if anything was to happen, it would happen to both of them, and I would be happy with that. I was done making the coffee, and after that, I poured it into a cup and put it inside a bag. Whereas the alphas make food, I asked the maid, who was about to enter the kitchen. I have always referred Jerome to it. I knew it would be disrespectful of me to call Jerome by his name, even though I might call him that when we are alone. I knew that the medicine would take effect today, and I needed to be away from this pack by then. I carried the bag. I left the kitchen. I walked toward the ward Jerome was in. I gave him the food, and I indicated that the coffee was his gift. I left the room and packed my things, ready to go back to my pack. I was feeling worried that things might go south since I poisoned his drink. I feel worried about the whole thing, but I tried hard to conceal it. I carried my things to Jerome's room, and I walked out of his room after telling him that I was going to inform Erica about my departure. I told Erica that I would be leaving now, and she was surprised about it, but she gave orders to the guards at the border to let me go. I will be leaving now, I said to Jerome, and a tear escaped my eyes knowing that he would be no more. I knew that he thought I was crying because I would miss him, but that's a big lie. I will miss you, he said as he cleaned the tears that rolled down my eyes. Bye, I will come by later, I said as I hugged him briefly before walking out of the room. I walked away hurriedly after I was out of the pack. Chapter 78 Erica. It was hard for me to accept Mabel into the pack, but I had no choice but to do that. I noticed that something suspicious was going on with Mabel, but there is nothing I can do to justify that. I know that Jerome won't believe me if I say it, but I have no choice but to keep it to myself. Although Mabel has been helping me these days, I couldn't help but feel worried that something was going to happen. I shrugged it off my mind with the intention that I may be hallucinating about the whole thing. Here I am in my office, trying to focus on the paperwork that is in front of me, and I'm finding it hard to concentrate. My eyes were furrowed as a frown was plastered on my face. I felt the need and urge to visit Jerome, which I have been trying to ignore. It has been hard for me to know that his ex-fiancée is here with the pack and that he approves of her joining it. It was hard for me to let her stay in the pack, and not only that, for her to tend to him. I have been limiting the way the two of them interact with each other. I have been the one feeding Jerome instead of her. I don't trust her to be calm after their breakup, but now that she's gone, I finally have peace of mind. To my agent extraordinaire, Mabel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Something is wrong with your mate. I heard the distressing voice of one of the pack nurses. I stood up immediately, and I dashed out of the room with a frown on my face. I do not understand why I was feeling worried earlier. A new wave of panic rushed into my veins as I rushed toward the direction of the pack's infirmary. My whole body was filled with worriedness as I scaled the stairs and rushed into Jerome's ward. What the hell is going on? I yelled immediately after I got in. I look up and see Jerome groaning in pain, and I can't help but wonder what's going on. I felt my eyes getting teary as I stared at him. I couldn't help but wonder what was going on. There seems to be something wrong. And I knew with no doubt that he was going through a lot. To my agent extraordinaire, Mabel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He had been poisoned, the pack's doctor said, and my eyes bulged out with shock, not knowing what to say or do. It came as a shock to me, and I couldn't help but wonder what was going on. It wasn't what I wanted, and I couldn't help but wonder who had poisoned him. What do you mean by saying he was poisoned? Staring at the pack's doctor. He was poisoned days ago, and he was also poisoned today, she explained, and I stared at her, not knowing what to say. I looked at him, and he was unconscious, but he couldn't stop groaning in pain, and I could see blood oozing out of his nostrils. I felt my eyes turn red, and all I wanted at that moment was to kill the person who caused it all. What is the cause of his poisoning? I asked as I tried hard to keep my wolf from taking over my body. I knew things would be distracting if my wolf were to take over my body. Food poisoning, she replied, and I knew with no doubt that the person responsible is Mabel. But I tried hard not to think of it. I knew that it wouldn't be good if I accused her falsely without any proof. I knew that Jerome wouldn't be happy with that. I swore to make the person responsible for it pay dearly for it. There seems to be nothing in my mind other than to kill the person who had wanted to kill my mate. The person would be killed for treason. I will make sure the person suffers before dying. I will make sure the person regrets all that he or she has done. I knew that the person might be one of the maids in this pack. Do you have any clue on what he ate today that was poisoned? I asked as I stared at the pack's doctor intently with a killing intent on my face. You might want to check this out, the pack doctor said, and she handed me a cup that had a small quantity of coffee inside. I knew instantly who was responsible for this. No one except Mabel prepared coffee for him in this pack except Mabel. She had always been preparing that for him in their old pack when they were still dating, but she did it in this pack too. Jerome didn't inform me about his liking for coffee, and I know about it from Mabel. I knew that she must have used the poison on him for two reasons. The first is because he broke up with her, and the other might be because she was sent by the council member who was responsible for all that. I now know the reason she left the packery today. She seems to be in a hurry. I clenched my fist angrily, and my knuckles turned white. I clenched my teeth together, making a creaking sound. I have made up my mind to bring her back to the pack with pain. I will make sure she regrets what she has done. Have you found a way to get that out of his system? Staring at her with a worried look on my face. Yes, I have found a way, but I decided to inform you before any commencement. And with that, I walked out of the ward for them to start with the treatment. I want 5 of you to assemble the horses, and 4 of you will be following me, I said as I hurriedly walked toward the direction of the pack's border. I climbed onto the horse, which was tied to a tree, and with that, I took off, not wanting for those that I had told to follow me. Bring a rope along with you, I said to them. And with that, I took off with great speed. Chapter 79. Mabel. I wasn't expecting Erica to know about me being the one so soon, but I was expecting this. I knew sooner or later I would be caught by her, but I wasn't expecting it to be this soon. I could hear the sound of a horse approaching from a distance, and I knew that there was no way to escape anymore. I felt adrenaline pumping through my veins, so I increased my speed. I ran through the thick bush with fear evident in my eyes. I ducked down under a branch of a tree with great speed that I didn't know I possessed. My eyes were filled with tears, and I was sweating. I knew that there was no way I would be able to escape from Erica and her cohorts. I knew this would be the end of me, but I was glad that Jerome would be coming with me. I will not bat an eye at him after meeting him in the afterlife. He made me do all this, and now his mate is after me. What was I even expecting? I have made a great mistake by poisoning him, but I am glad for that. I will make sure I pay him back tenfold for what he has done to me, and now I'm content that I was able to make that come true. I knew that there was no way I would be able to escape from Erica, and I don't have a chance to outrun her in human form. I decided to drop my bag and shift into my wolf form, not caring about it. I knew that there was no way I would be able to go back to my pack since Erica knew I was behind everything. And there was no way the alpha of my pack would allow me back into the pack after learning of what I had done. I knew that hurting Jerome had warranted Erica's anger, but I don't care, all I want is revenge. And I have finally gotten it. I knew for sure that there was no way the poison would have been extracted from his veins. I knew that I would be caught up with, but I won't give it to you easily. I won't give Erica the chance to bully me again. Not anymore. She bullied me with her position as an alpha, and she used that as a leverage to get Jerome in her clutches. But I have gotten him back and he belongs to me again. Jerome's life belongs to me, and I have decided to take it. And I won't let her have a slight chance of victory. I ran through the bush as fast as I could while dodging trees at intervals, taking turns not knowing where I was headed. I haven't been confused in my entire life like I am now. I knew that this would catch up with me, but I don't expect it to be soon. I knew that I would die if I got caught by Erica, but I still went on with the plan. I knew that I was feeling confident about the whole thing before, but now I feel scared. I feel scared that I might lose my life. I feel scared that things will go differently from what I have always wished for. I knew it wouldn't be easy to get things back to the way they were before. There is no way I can undo things. Soon I ran to a dead end, and I couldn't help but sigh heavily seeing the cliff in front of me. My body went cold instantly. I took a peek over the cliff. I couldn't help but sigh sadly knowing that I have been caught up with. I knew that things would be disastrous. I could hear the sound of the horse getting closer, and I closed my eyes, waiting for the next thing to happen. My eyes were closed as I waited for what would happen next. You have nowhere to run now. To my agent extraordinaire, Mabel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Shift, I heard Erica say in a cold voice, with dangerous auras emitting from her body, adding to her demeanor. You have made a grave mistake by trying to kill Jerome. You will be killed just like the law of treason, I heard her say, and I felt a cold shiver run down my spine imagining the scenario. I tried hard to mask the fear I have, and I chuckled with a satisfied smile on my face. That doesn't scare me. I know that you are going to do that. I knew what the law of treason is, and that's death by hanging, but I'm not fazed by that. I muttered with a strong look on my face. I'm glad it doesn't. Go get her. Tie her to the rope, and give me the end of the rope. And I stared at her with a shocked look on my face. I wasn't expecting this from her, and I knew what she was trying to do. She was going to have to be tied to a rope, and then she would ride on the horse. She would drag me back all the way to her pack. My blood went cold at the thought of what she was about to do. My eyes were filled with unshed tears, but I managed to bottle it all in. Jerome caused everything from the start. He shouldn't have fallen in love with her at the beginning. All this could have been avoided. He wouldn't have been wanted dead, but now he is going to die. He was wanted dead by the head of the Werewolf Council. I knew that Erica would want to torture me into telling her who sent me, but I have made up my mind to keep my mouth shut. I won't give her any chance to know about the person who wanted Jerome dead. I have a feeling that Jerome is not dead, but I plan on finding that out. I will find out that soon. Chapter 80. Erica. I ride the horse faster than before, filled with anger, not caring if I am hurting her. I had the rope in my hand, and I kept dragging it with my hands. I knew that she would be in a lot of pain because my hands were hurting, which was caused by the force I was using to drag him. She kept screaming with pain as I dragged her toward my pack, and I didn't bat an eyelash at her screaming of pain. I knew that she was ruthless in trying to kill Jerome, and not only that she was confident, she doesn't seem to reject the person who told her to poison him. Where I had caught up with her was far from my pack, and that made me more happy because she would be in a lot of pain before we went to my pack. I knew that there was no way she wouldn't feel the pains that were being inflicted on her by the road. "Are you all right?" I heard Victoria's voice ask in the mind link, with worriedness etched in her tone. I knew that she had heard about the whole thing and was worried about me. But what does she take me for? "Will you be all right if your mate was poisoned?" I replied coldly, not caring about her feelings. "I don't want you to do something you will regret later." To my agent extraordinaire, Mabel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Don't do something stupid. You should calm yourself down, try hard to control your anger, she said again through the mind link, and I groaned angrily, not stopping for once. "You don't tell me what to do as an alpha," I replied coldly again, and I blocked the mind link. I turned to look at her for a second, and I could see blood gushing out of her body. She was in a lot of pain, but I didn't care about all that, and I was satisfied with her groans of pain. Her groans and pain didn't satisfy me, like I wanted. They couldn't help feel the anger that I have toward her in my heart. My eyes were filled with anger, and there was nothing I could hear that would make me stop myself from killing her. I knew that Jerome wouldn't want me to kill her, but I have no choice but to do that. My eyes were filled with evil intent toward Mabel, and so was my heart. There was nothing else that I wanted other than to make her cry and make her plead for her life before killing her. I will make sure that she pays dearly for causing Jerome pain. Soon we arrived at the pack, and I climbed down from the horse, still clenching onto the rope that was tied to Mabel. I knew that there was no way I was letting things slide by anymore. I will make sure she is punished in front of the whole pack to serve as a warning to them if they want to do something similar to what she has done. I knew that I would have to gather the whole pack at the pack square. "I want every member of this pack to be assembled at the pack square," I said through the mind link with a firm tone. I knew that my parents must have heard about the whole thing since my betas were already aware of all this. I couldn't help but wonder why my parents haven't mind linked me to talk about what happened. I knew that there was no way I would listen to them, and I would brush them off coldly, with an interested look in my eyes. I felt like something was amiss with me for not hearing them show their concern for Jerome. It felt like I had been abandoned by them, and thinking about it hurt me. There was nothing that I felt now other than anger, which was directed toward Mabel. I felt like this was caused by Jerome. He wouldn't have been poisoned if he didn't trust her. I told him that I wouldn't be letting her into this pack, but he ignored me. He made me look like a fool. And now this is the cause. Things had changed dramatically, and it was all caused by Jerome. He wouldn't have been hurt if he hadn't placed his trust in her. I felt my anger suddenly getting multiplied, and I walked toward Mabel with a killing intent on my face. I grabbed her by her collar, and I started punching her face. I kept on punching her face while making sure that there was no other person there with me. I wanted to find out who sent her, and I didn't want anyone to know that I knew about a member of the council who was responsible for all that had happened. "Who sent you?" I asked coldly as I stared at her with a frown on my face. "You don't have to know," she replied coyly, and I stared at her for a while, not knowing what to say. I knew that she wouldn't want to tell me who sent her unless I approached her in another way. "Do you want revenge on him because he left me for you?" Staring at her, wanting to take note of her expression, but she didn't change it. And I knew that she wasn't the one with the idea to poison him, but she later agreed to everything. I knew that someone like her wasn't to be trusted, but I felt like this was nothing but the truth. Or perhaps it was because you and I were sent by someone and you agreed to it to be able to get revenge. To my agent extraordinaire, Mabel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. And I could see the shock look that was changing on her face. "You must be sent by a member of the Werewolf Council." To my agent extraordinaire, Mabel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. A smirk dancing on my lips as I whispered that into her ear. "How do you know?" she asked with a quivering voice. "I was told by him that he had set you up. He wanted you dead, and he had told me beforehand. He gave me the antidote. He wanted you to be used as a sacrificial lamb." He wanted you out of the way for the two of us to be together, I muttered slowly, making sure that my words sank into her ears. The look on her face turned Tana red with anger immediately after knowing that she had been tricked. I knew there was no way she would believe my words. I felt angry knowing that she was sent by the council member, but I had to keep my cool to be able to extort the information that I needed from her. How dare Alpha Otis? How dare he? He is such a despicable son of a bitch. And my eyes went agape, not knowing what to do or say. Chapter 81 Erica. It came as a huge shock to me to know that it was Alpha Otis that was behind it all. I knew that I should have been expecting all this before, but I didn't see it coming. I knew that I would be shocked if I found out who was responsible, but I was way more shocked than I thought. I knew that I had a hunch that he might be the one, but I didn't expect it to be this soon. I had thought that since he was the head of the council, he wouldn't be the one. I stared at Mabel with my mouth wide open, not knowing what to do or say to her. I knew that things didn't go as I wanted and that they might continue this way. I knew that he wasn't the only one who would be after Jerome. I knew that he would have some of the council members and some of the alphas backing him up. I felt like there was something hidden from both of us, and I knew that there would have to be a secret behind what the head of the council was doing. I knew that there would have to be a secret regarding Jerome being attacked constantly by the head of the council. I knew that there was no way he would be attacked without any reason. I knew that the reason might be connected to his being that I knew that the council leader would know who he was and how powerful he might be, which would endanger Jerome's life. I knew that things weren't going smoothly after I discovered that the head council was responsible for all that had been happening. My eyes were filled with different emotions, not knowing what to say or do. You don't have to worry, I will do just as he wants. You should not have taken it upon yourself to hurt my mate. You have made a terrible mistake by doing that, I said as I stared at her bitterly and angrily. I still wasn't able to wrap my head around what had been happening recently. It was like things were getting dirtier than I thought. I feel like the council leader has something to do with Jerome's inability to regain his memory. I knew that I would have to take things slowly, and that's what I'm going to do. I will make sure that things don't get out of hand. I knew that I would have to focus on one thing at a time. I will have to do things equally and then worry about what will happen next. I knew that I would have to come up with a new strategy. I stared at Mabel, knowing that she was being used as a pawn and a sacrifice. I knew that the head of the council knew about this, but he decided to go ahead with it. I sighed heavily as I stared at her, knowing that there was nothing I could do to help or save her. I knew that she had chosen her path and would have to pay for it. She will pay for every attempt to hurt Jerome. I will make sure that the leader of the Werewolf Council also pays dearly for that. I will make sure things don't happen like that anymore. I carried her off the ground, ignoring the emotions I was feeling. I knew that I would have to continue with what the head of the Werewolf Council wanted, which was to make him think I wasn't aware. I will make sure that no harm befalls Jerome. I will make sure that he's kept safe forever. I knew that I wouldn't be able to bear losing him. I tried hard to focus on what was going on right now. I tried hard to make things right. And I knew that I would have to use Mabel as a pawn in my own game. I will make sure the head of the Werewolf Council doesn't have a slight chance of knowing that everything was known to me already. I knew that would force him to change his plans, which I don't want. I carried her to the pack square, and I could see the pack members aligned there. They were all waiting patiently for me to come up the podium. My parents and my beta were there also. They were all standing on the podium waiting for what I would do next. I linked the guard to chain her down, and they did. I knew that there was no way she would be able to escape. Even without the chain, her head was turned upside down, and she was staring directly into the eyes of those who were present. I knew that it would be hard for her to be like this, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to torture her in front of the whole pack, but I knew they would see the evidence of my torture on her. My whole body was covered with blood, and it was that of Mabel. I knew that those who were present would know that they would be tortured and killed like I would do to Mabel. You all are here to witness the trail of a betrayal. She attacked my mate and will suffer the wrath. She had poisoned my friend, and she will pay for it. The punishment for treason is death. This is to warn those out there who have it in mind to attack my mate, I said with a cold look on my face, knowing that there will still be more of them who want to hurt him. This should serve as a warning to you all who want to hurt him. You will end up like her if you try to hurt my mate. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I took a sword from a guard who was standing on the podium. I walked toward her with a straight face, wanting nothing other than to kill him that minute. I wanted nothing other than revenge, and I knew that people wouldn't have wanted to kill her so soon. I would have wanted to torture her and do more damage to her. I raised my sword up to stab her, but I stopped after I smelled the scent of blood, and I could feel my heart stop beating. I noticed that the scent of the blood wasn't that of Mabel, but that of Jerome. "Stop," I heard Jerome's voice say, and I froze in shock immediately. Chapter 80 to Jerome. It came as a huge shock to me to know that I had been poisoned by Mabel. I knew that she had poisoned me due to the fact that I had broken her heart to be with Erica. I knew I was at fault for that, but I didn't expect her to be this extreme. I had thought that she was just like every other normal person. She had masked her true character all this while, and now she had made everything known to me. I knew that there was nothing I could do about it other than accept all this. I knew that this could have been avoided if I didn't try to be with Erica, but I have no choice but to be with my mate. I knew that she might think I was doing all this because of Erica's status in the pack, but I'm not. I loved her genuinely, and I will do everything for her. I have never felt this way toward anyone before, but now I do. I knew that all this was nothing compared to the feelings I will have toward after I have marked her. I felt my heart ache as I groaned in pain while rolling on the bed, not knowing what to do or say. My throat was dry, and all I could think of was drinking water. I knew that she was the one who poisoned me, and that was because of the way she behaved earlier today. I could feel my heart beating rapidly. I stared around the room, trying to figure out where the water was. I knew that there was no way I would be left alone without water. I could feel the state of my body, and I knew that my body was weak. I feel like I want to apologize to Mabel for what I have done. I feel like this was my own punishment for breaking up with her. I knew that I was at fault because I had reassured her that nothing would happen between my boyfriend and me. But that changed. I knew that she was here to get revenge for that. My eyes were filled with an unknown emotion as I stared at the white ceilings. I could still remember the scenario when she was about to leave. She told me that she has no choice, and when I asked her about it, she replied that she has no choice but to leave early. I now know what she was trying to say, and I feel myself getting sad about the whole thing. I knew that she had placed her trust in me, but I betrayed it. I knew that if I were her, I would have strangled the person who had promised me all that. But she didn't. She poisoned me, and here I am still alive with nothing wrong with me. I knew that things wouldn't be good, but I have no choice other than to get things done myself. I feel like things will change soon, and I can feel that something is wrong. I looked around the room, trying to spot the cup of water, and I sighed in relief as soon as I saw it. I felt happy, and I carried the bottle with a shaky hand, and while I was doing that, my hand hit the glass cup that was beside it, falling it down. I knew with no doubt that there would be someone here within minutes to come and check what was going on. But nevertheless, I grabbed the bottle and opened it with shaky hands. I drank the water from the bottle, and within seconds I was done drinking the entire content of the bottle. I belched as I sighed weakly, wanting to know why anyone wasn't here. I feel like all this has a reason for happening. I knew that the whole infirmary was deserted, and I knew that there was no one here. I feel like they all went somewhere. I staggered up with a deep groan, and I made my way toward the door. I tripped and fell, hitting my head on the iron that was used to hold the bed. I could feel blood seeping out of my head, and I sighed heavily while staring around the room. I was looking for a bandage and a spirit to take care of the wound on my head. I walked toward the first aid box that was in the room and was hanging on the wall. I leaned up as I took the things I would need. I tend to bandage the wound on my head gently, and I was about to do so when I heard the voice of Mabel through the mind link. "Please help me, I'm sorry for what I did to you. It wasn't intentional," she said through the mind link with a voice filled with panic. My body jolted up hearing her voice, and I felt my heart melt and all I could think of doing at that moment was to help her. I'm willing to do anything to save her from whatever was happening. Please come to the pack square. Erica is about to kill me, she added in a distrustful voice. And I felt my heart stop beating instantly. I didn't know that Erica would find out what was going on. I had thought that she wouldn't be aware of it. I felt my breath hitch immediately, knowing what Erica was capable of. The pains I was feeling in my body disappeared that instant, and all I could think of was saving her from Erica. I knew that Erica had wanted to kill her due to the fact that she had poisoned me. I will be there in a jiffy, you don't have to worry. I will try all my possible best to save you from her, I muttered back, scared, as I made my way out of the room while writhing in pain. Panic shot through my body as I knew that the longer I stalled while trying to get there, the more she would be in danger. I knew that she would be killed soon, and I might be the only one to stop her from killing him. I rushed to the pack square, not minding the pain that shot through my body. Stop! I shouted with horror as I watched the scene unfold itself. I couldn't believe that she was about to be killed. Erica had raised the sword to kill her, but I was there to stop her just in time. I could see blood dripping down Mabel's body as her body was torn. I felt my heart squeeze with pain, not knowing what to say or do. Chapter 83. Mabel. I knew that the only person I could rely on right now was Jerome. I knew that he was the only one who could save me right now. There is no way I won't be killed by Erica, but I knew that she might want to reconsider her actions if Jerome were here. I knew that calling him out might not be the best option, but that's the only thing I can resort to right now. He is the only one who can save me. I knew that there was no way Alpha Otis would want to get involved in all of this. I knew that he had warned me not to get caught, and getting caught is dangerous. I have no idea that Erica knew about the whole thing all along, and she had the idea that I would drug him. I feel like she was being too extreme on me after they had set me up. I knew that if I was to escape from all this, I would have to use Jerome's help. He is the only one that can be of help to me right now. I knew that if I was to trust or believe in Alpha Otis, then things might get scarier than I thought. I knew that he had told me that he might save me or might not, but seeing the change in the look of things, I knew there was no way he would be saving me. I knew that it would be hard for him to save him, especially because he had set me up. I don't know why I still had some faith in him that he might save me, but I knew that was all a lie since he set me up. I knew that even if I wasn't killed by Erica, then those who were present would kill me, and I was scared about it. But I tried hard to hide it. Jerome, you need to be fast. I urged him to come as quickly as he could so that I wouldn't be killed. I was scared, and sweat kept dripping down my body as my body shook vigorously. I was shocked at how my body was reacting, but I knew that nothing could stop it from reacting like that. It wasn't my intention to be caught, but there is nothing I can do about it anymore. I heard Jerome's voice say. I just felt the tip of the sword touch my skin. I felt my body freeze with shock as I opened my eyes. I could see my blood at tip of the sword, and I couldn't help but feel sad about the whole thing. I was glad that he came just in time to stop her from decapitating my head. I was glad he came into that picture at the right time, but I still suffered some minor injuries from the sword, and I knew I would be healed completely within an hour. I knew that I might somehow manage to cheat death now, but I knew that wouldn't be possible forever. I knew that Erica wouldn't want to let me live like this, as she would want to go by her principles. I knew that I should not be afraid of death anymore, but I am. It felt like things were turning against me, and I knew that if not for Jerome, I would have been dead by now and everything would have turned to history. I was glad that he still managed to stand up for me even after everything. I was glad that he didn't change like others would have done. I knew that I had wanted to kill him earlier, but he didn't wish me death in the same way I had wanted him dead. I knew that I had a chance to turn myself in, but I was too blinded with anger to know about that. I knew that it wouldn't be easy to get things done for everyone, but I also knew that if I managed to escape from here, I would work my butt off to repay the favors of the person who had saved me. I knew that the person most likely to save me is none other than Jerome. I knew that he would be considerate enough of me to let me off the hook. I will be glad for that. But I knew that might be impossible. I knew that if it was to be Jerome alone, then I would live. But seeing Erica, who wanted me dead, made me fearful. I knew that the head of the Werewolf Council wouldn't be here to help me since I was about to be killed. It is late already, and I might get killed any minute from now. I knew that there was little Jerome could do to save me. I knew that it would be hard for him to save me alone, and it would have been easy if Alpha Otis would appear right now. But I knew that he wouldn't be showing up. I don't know why I decided to accept Alpha Otis's offer. I knew that I would still be in the MH pack, living peacefully, if Alpha Otis didn't come into the picture. "We need to talk," Erica said, and she gave the sword to one of the guards. I felt my seized breath that I don't know I had been holding in for a while now leave my nostril peacefully. I knew that Erica was going to talk him into letting her kill me. I knew that if I were Erica, I would have killed her by now. I knew that there was no way I would allow someone who had poisoned my friend to go freely. And that's what Erica was going to do. I knew that he would be tucked into killing me. And even though I knew that might not be true, I knew it might come through. I don't want something like that to happen. After what seemed like hours but was only a few minutes, Erica walked out of the house they had both walked into, and she walked up to me with a smirk on her face. "I will continue from where I stopped," I heard her say, and I felt my body freeze with shock, not knowing what to do. Erica collected the sword from the guard. I knew that there is no way I'm cheating death this time, and with that I closed my eyes waiting impatiently for her to kill me. Chapter 84 Jerome. I was shocked to know that Erica has the guts to kill Mabel even after I have told her not to. I was angry with her, and I have promised myself not to forgive her again. I knew that there was no way I would be with the killer of my best friend. I knew that there was no way I would be able to live peacefully with her. Mabel had linked me with the hope that I would save her. But no, I didn't. I was sad that I wasn't reliable, and when I was needed by my best friend, I wasn't there. I wasn't happy with all that, but there was nothing I could do or say about it. I knew that she had used her alpha position on me, and this had put me in a vulnerable position. It hurt me to know that I am not as powerful as she is. She had made me look like a fool. I had promised Mabel that I would save her, but instead I did nothing. I watched as she killed him with a sad look on my face. I knew that she would continue using her alpha powers over me. I knew that her being the alpha of the pack put her in a position where I could not make any decisions. I knew that if I relied on my Lycan's power, things would change, but I'm not ready for that. I knew that it wouldn't only make things look like I was no different from her. I knew that I could have been able to stop her if I had been able to control my wolf side like I should have. It hurt me to know that I'm nothing compared to her, and that she will do anything she likes or anything she wants with me. I knew that it was not a favorable condition, but I have nothing to do to stop that. I was close to tears as I watched her kill Mabel from afar. I knew that I should leave the place because I wouldn't be able to bear to watch the scene, but I knew not to leave. I knew that all I needed to do was find a way to go back to my pack. I knew that things wouldn't be easy and that Erica would keep taking advantage of me. I knew that me being her mate doesn't change anything, and that really hurt me. It doesn't sit well with me to know that my mate doesn't want anything to do with me, and she doesn't want me to have anything with her pack. I staggered back to my room, not bothering to go back to the hospital. My mind was in shock, and I couldn't comprehend what had just happened a few minutes ago. It hurt me to know that I couldn't complete my promise to her. I knew that she had been promised many things by me, but I couldn't get any of them done. I had thought that I would be able to get what I had promised her done, but I couldn't. It hurt me, but I knew it would be hard for me to gather myself back. I knew that I have been attached to Erica more than I have ever been to anyone else, and I knew that was why it was hard for me to believe that she would do such a thing. I knew that I wouldn't be able to let her go easily, and I also knew that she had done nothing wrong. I knew that she must have killed her for some reason that is best known to her. I knew that there should be no reason for her to kill her, but I strongly believe there must be a reason. I sighed heavily as I made my way toward the bathroom to have my bath. I had a bath, and I took my time in the bathroom. I washed all the bloodstains that were on my body away, and after that, I walked out of the bathroom with a frown on my face. My head was pounding heavily, and all I could think of was doing something to make it all stop. I knew that it wouldn't be easy with things around, but I will have to do something. I sat on my bed with my hand on my chin. I was lost in thoughts, and I knew that it would take a while for me to get rid of the image that was popping up in my head. I heard a knock on the door, and I knew that Erica must be the one who was at the door. I wasn't going to let her in. I'm going to let her feel the pain of being ignored. I'm going to make her pay for that. I knew that since she was my mate, I wouldn't be able to hold grudges against her for long. I knew that I would be affected by the romantic bond, which would make me forgive her easily. I knew that it would also be harder for me since I have accepted her as my mate. Erica opened the door after seeing that I wasn't answering her. She walked into the room, and she shut the door behind her. She walked toward me with an unexplainable expression, and I was angry to even notice that. I don't care about all that, and all I wanted at that moment was to scold her for doing what she did today. Why are you here? You want to talk to me after you killed my best friend? I said as I stared at her angrily while glaring daggers at her. I came here to talk to you about Mabel. She started, and I stared at her angrily, not believing that she would come here to taunt me about killing my best friend. You want to taunt me about killing my best friend? I said as I stood up from where I was sitting while glaring mercilessly at her. She will have died anyway if I don't kill her. She consumed more poison than you do, Erica said, and I stared at her with confusion, not knowing what to do or say. She knew she would be caught, and she begged me to kill her. She wanted to pin everything on me. After knowing that you are alive, she wanted to make it look like I killed her. Erica added as I stared at her. You're lying, I retorted angrily. I'm not. She was sent by a member of the council. She knew that she would die in the hands of the werewolf council member at the end. She knew that you both would be dead at the end, and that's why she chose to do that. I have the identity of the werewolf council member who sent her, Erica explained. Chapter 85. Erica flashback. You think things are working the way you want, right? You don't have to worry. I have consumed some poison. Even if you don't kill me, I will die eventually. You should take killing me as an opportunity for you to get back at me, Mabel said to me with a smirk on her face. What do you know? All this would happen and you still proceeded with the plan. You want to hurt the person that you have been with for long without battling and eyelash, I said, staring at her in disbelief, and she chuckled. He hurt me by not considering my feelings. He will pay for that, and you should worry less also, because I will make him turn his back at you, Mabel said to me, and I stared at her confused. I was shocked to know that even after everything she doesn't feel remorseful about all that she had done. I wasn't happy with that, but I knew that there was no way I would be able to get my revenge on her. She had everything planned out. She knew there was no way I'm not going to kill her today. She knew that I would have no choice but to go as she had planned. I knew that there was no way I would be able to stop myself from killing her. I will kill you and your plans won't work, I said with a stern look on my face as I stared at her. Flashback ended. She was only trying to wedge a breakup between the both of us. She wanted us to be apart for the person who sent her to kill you to be able to take you down, I said to Jerome, and he stared at me with a shocked look on his face. No, that can't be true. Mabel can't do such a thing. She would never do that. She isn't possibly do that. You are only trying to find an excuse for your behavior, Jerome said, as he stared at me with a surprised look on his face. I knew for a fact that he wouldn't believe me, but I knew not to push him further. I knew that Mabel had won him over, and I wouldn't believe any word of mine. Do you think I have any reason to lie to you? You can believe what you want, but won't change the truth. It won't change the truth that Mabel almost had you killed and that SHS was only doing what she was doing. She wanted you dead, I said with grimace. You don't think that will make me believe you? Jerome replied, and I chuckled. I knew that there was no way he was going to believe me, and I knew that things won't add up the way I want. I don't care whether you believe me or not, but that is the truth. You can't hide from the truth, I said to him, and with that I walked out of his room. He said, you have known the identity of the person who was after me all this while, I heard him ask when I got to the door. I stopped walking and I turned to look at him with a small smile on my face. I had thought that it would take me a while to be able to get him back to his old self, but I was shocked to know that he would believe me easily. I knew that the mate bond must be the one responsible for that, and I was glad for it. The person is Alpha Otis, the man who had directed the duel, I said, and he stared at me with a raised eyebrow. That explains why she came to me before the duel could go further. She told me to quit, but I told her I can't. She must have been sent by him, Jerome explained. I nodded my head as I started thinking of what to do. She must have been informed by him to come get you to stop fighting in the duel, I said to him, and he nodded his head slowly. I knew that it must be hard for him to know he was betrayed by his best friend, who he had once considered his lover. I knew that I should be happy about all that was happening since Mabel is no more, but I'm not. I wasn't happy with the fact that my mate was almost killed by his best friend. Things would be better now since we have known our enemy. All we need to do now is to find a perfect plan to outrun our enemy. We won't alert him that we know of his identity already, I said to Jerome, who nodded his head. I will do everything needed so you don't have to worry. We will be going on a trip in 2 weeks' time, I said to him, and he stared at me with a raised eyebrow. I knew that he was confused about what we were going to do. I knew that he might find it hard to trust me, but I was hoping that the mate bond we shared would make that possible. We will be going there undercover. Alpha Otis would think that was a perfect plan to abduct me, and that is because I will send him a letter with entity I started, and I could see the look of disbelief on his face. I will send him a letter with the identity of an alpha to him. I would make him believe that I'm in love with Alpha Erikami, and I will propose we work together. He would agree. I will feed him some information, and you will have to get caught in others for the plan to work. I will then come to the place where you are being held hostage after I had killed all the guards there, replacing them with my men. He will wait for me at the place, and then I will kill him for abducting you, I said, and he stared at me with a shocked expression on his face. I won't be going with your plans. I won't let you kill me. You want to get me killed with your stupid plan, and you think I will go with your plan, Jerome voiced out as he stood up from where he was seated with an angry look on his face. I knew that he wouldn't want to trust me on this, and I was hoping that it wouldn't take him long. I knew that I can't just attack the leader of the werewolf council based on what Mabel had said.